guys, thanks for tuning in to Shutter Magazine. I'm Dustin Lucas, and today we're going to talk about Lightroom presets. You might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't use presets in my workflow. How are they going to work for me? I'll tell you that if you're interested in cutting your editing time in half, you definitely want to tune into this article. I'm going to go through sort of breaking down sort of editing sort of a single image, creating that preset sort of as a starting position for all of my images, and therefore I can sync the rest of my images in my catalog and have those same settings applied to all of them. Sounds great, right? So let's start with just picking out a single image. I have it unedited here, and I'm going to sort of put some global adjustments on this to start my preset. And this preset that we're creating right here, as you notice, we're in the develop mode at the top here. So this is going to be considered a develop preset. So we're going to go through and start adding some contrast into this image. I'm going to drop my highlights quite a bit, boost up my shadows, kind of have like a sort of an HDR, sort of spicing the image up a bit. I'm going to leave my white point, it's about fine where it is, but I'm going to drop the blacks down and have a little more depth in those blacks. I'm going to go down the rest of my panel, my images. I'm going to drop them down. I'm not going to do too much global adjustments with HSL. You know, as the lighting condition changes throughout the day, I don't sort of want to make those adjustments. I'm not going to do any detail or noise reduction at this point, but you definitely can. That's something you can if you want to start starting with like sort of a global positioning of sharpening and noise reduction. It's kind of nice to have across your images. Certain images definitely need more sharpening and more noise reduction. But I can sort of add some of that in and sort of apply it across the board and definitely make adjustments as I'm going through the images. Going down here with lens correction, I try not to do within my master global preset, try not to add the lens correction in the same one that I do my edits in. I usually do a separate lens correction per lens. And what I mean by that is you can go up to here in the metadata and you can change your filters through different lenses, which is fantastic. So you can actually apply a lens correction that fixes this lens specifically once you start messing around with, say, some of the distortion elements, and allowing the lens correction to do that per lens, which I think is pretty great. And the way you would do that is the same process that I'm doing now, and I'm going to continue with the develop preset and sort of getting all of your edits where you want them. Moving down, what you can do is you can definitely add like a vignette if you want, and sort of create draws more of the attention to the middle of the image. And a lot of times what I like to do is sort of boost the exposure, make the images kind of brighter overall. And I leave the white balance as shot because for a master sort of starting position, I think that the best way to work is to sort of have more global adjustments. I'll add a little vibrance in there. I don't think that's going to hurt. I can always lower that with my images, leaving clarity at 0, saturation at 0, and sort of the rest of my edits sort of left where they are. And so from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use we're going to create this preset and save it. So what we want to do is we're going to do Shift Command N, and it's going to pull up this new develop preset. Now within here, you can name your preset anything you want. For these purposes, I'm just going to call it, I do the hashtag so it shows up at the top of the list, which is sort of a quick tool. I use, I'll put down master starting point. And so it's something where I can apply to all my images, sort of just a global blanket adjustment to all of them. I'm also going to go here to the folder, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it, let's just say editing. Let's call the folder editing for now. We'll create that. And as you see, a folder here on the left-hand side has popped up. I want to make sure to have the right settings checked. So I'm going to go ahead and check all, and then I'm going to uncheck what I don't want. The only things that I'm not interested in syncing are the filters. Everything else can be checked. Even though I didn't make adjustments, say in the HSL, which is for color adjustments, or lens corrections for this preset, I'd still check them all in the case that you were to make an adjustment you don't want to forget to save that in the preset. And so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to hit create, and it pops up a master starting point. Now what's great is you can go to any image that's unedited, click on that master starting point, and it's going to put us right there to that same position we were with the other image. However, you do have the same ability to select all the images, and you can sync Shift Command S, and you can just sync the settings. This works a little bit better when thinking about, say, thousands of images you're working with, and you want to select them all. Shift Command S, and you can sync all of those settings. And what you're seeing here is what I already have unchecked are my local adjustment brushes, which I unchecked for the preset. I want to keep spot removal unchecked because that's definitely image to image, and I want to keep crop unchecked. And I noticed earlier I was talking about leaving your white balance as shot, and that's fine for this preset. And leaving it checked is great whenever you're syncing images, say for the same set, and you want to have sort of a consistent color tone, and then going back through those images, you'll do fine adjustments. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is move on to specifically to the import settings and how you have different presets you can create there. So moving into the import section of Lightroom, what we're going to look at is how to apply presets prior to you even importing your images into Lightroom. So what you'll notice here on the right-hand side is you're going to have develop settings and metadata. What you can do, and we're going to talk about metadata presets, what you can do is you can click on this section, None, and create a new metadata preset. So within this section, you can add in all your IPTC information, your copyright, image location, which is great when newer cameras have sort of GPS locations and where they're shooting. Keywords is a big feature of this section. And so what you can do is with filling in all that information, you definitely want to check all your boxes because that's what's going to be included in the preset. And within here, you can type in, and these are of course Sal's images. So I'm going to type in maybe sort of how he would create his preset. I'm going to just leave it as sort of just studio name. And we're going to go under here under preset. It's going to leave it as custom. We're going to go ahead and leave that alone and go ahead and hit create. Now what you're going to notice is every time when you want to import a new set of images, you're going to have the labeled Salvatore Cincotta Photography, of course, for this catalog. But you can put your studio in there or whatever presets you want to do, and it'll save all that information for you to apply to all of your images. So now applying this develop preset, we're going to go ahead and go to editing, master starting point. We have that selected. We have our metadata preset selected, and we have our image. And I'm going to go ahead and hit import. And you're thinking, okay, we're all done. Well, now looking at them, the problem is that both images are edited. They both look the same. So you can go back to library mode and you can hit reset all. So we selected the image, hit reset all, and it put it back to its original state. Now let's go back to develop mode. Now we have a problem. Our left image is edited and now our right image is unedited. Well, that doesn't make sense. You can quit sort of swap these settings in this little feature down here, but to do that for every single image, it's pretty annoying. So what I would suggest is whenever you're looking at presets and thinking about, well, how can I sort of put this into my workflow or make it more efficient? And for importing, I would only use specifically, I would only use the metadata presets. I would not use ever really do develop presets on import because it sort of tweaks all of your images. You don't have the ability to see the before and after. And I kind of like to see sometimes the shot out of camera to see sort of how much I'm sort of veering away from the photographic element and making it more of looking like a digital manipulated image. And that's all preference, of course, at this point. So what I want to look at now is I want to look at export presets. And the way you do that is, clicking on any images that you'd want to export specifically. Shift Command E is the hotkey for that. And so what you have now is you have all these settings for export. As you notice, I don't have anything in my user settings. So what I want to do is kind of set up, sort of show you how to do sort of a blog, or if you want to do print, or if you want to do full-size JPEGs or DNGs. All those different settings can be set in a preset. And let me sort of show you how you do that. So you can choose a folder. I'm going to say for now, just keep everything to go to the desktop. And so for a subfolder, I'm going to make this for blog. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to leave, maybe leave the file naming the same. I'm not doing anything with video. File settings, I'll do JPEG. For quality, I can leave that at, I'll do quality at 100. I'm going to resize the image though. That's the big point for the website. So on the longest edge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up for 19 by 20, figuring a 1080 screen, and I'm going to put the resolution to 72. I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to put sharpening. I do sharpening for screen. I'll do just standard amount. This is just a quick output sharpening to sort of spruce up the images. Metadata, I'm going to go ahead and just leave all of that, everything that's embedded in the images, leaving watermarking alone for now. But you can definitely add a watermark to your image, especially if you're putting it, online or a blog. That's something you definitely want to add. Post processing, I'm not doing any droplets or anything. I'm not wanting to really edit these in Photoshop right now. I just want them to come right out of Lightroom. And so what I've done is, with all those settings in place, I can go over to this left-hand side and hit Add. And from there, I'm just going to call the preset blog, just so it's congruent to sort of what I've created for my subfolder. And I'm going to leave it in user presets. That's perfectly fine. You can definitely create a new folder. Maybe we want to call, keep it the same as your other folder, or you can do favorites. That's a good one to do too. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. As you notice, blog is showing up in favorites. And so the same exact thing you'd want to do. With this selected, we have all those settings in place. We just do, we'll do full res JPEG. And you'll notice while I'm typing this in, you may have noticed that Lightroom already has sort of some presets as well, full-size JPEGs. All you really have to do is by clicking on there is change it to hard drive, change your location and all that. Sort of your file settings, or it's going to be a full-size JPEG. So it kind of has that, and you can use their settings to sort of copy off of. But another one that you can do is, say, for print. And what I like to do is going through, if you're wanting to rename the files, file setting, of course, JPEG. You can change the color space, which I think is fantastic. In Lightroom, you can actually export into out of its native color space, which right now all these images are in the native color space of the image sensor, and you can change that color space, as I've talked about in a previous article. Last year, we were talking about color space. So if you're interested in that, that's a good article to pick up and sort of refresh yourself for different color spaces. For the print, I'm just going to leave it as sRGB, as the lab that I'm working with asks me to do. I'm going to take off the resize and not resize the images right now, sort of leave them at their full size. JPEG is fine. Output sharpening, you can do sharpening for matte or glossy paper, which is kind of nice. I like to do a little more sharpening in Photoshop myself, so I'll kind of leave the output sharpening, at least for print, to work in there. And so I'll kind of leave all these settings the same, and then so what I'll go back over here and do is hit Add, make sure that I'm selected in the favorites folder. I'm going to go ahead and go to print, and it's that easy. And so as you notice, my settings changing as I go between print and blog, which is great specifically. So I don't have to go in and plug anything else in. The great thing about that is now, say I want to work this catalog or another catalog in the future, what I can do is when I'm ready to post all these to a blog, say all my 5-star or called images, I can right click on one of these selected images, go to export, and blog is showing up right there. And as you're seeing, they're exporting automatically out of Lightroom. And we're going to go to my Finder window, and you're noticing that a blog's being built and these images are populating in there. Such a fast way to get your images out of Lightroom, and you're not going in and plugging in information and wasting all that time. It's a huge time saver. The last thing I want to show you while that's sort of running is I want to show you in preferences how you can get add presets that you purchase into Lightroom. So what you have here is you have all of your tabs. I'm going to go to the preset tab, and down here it's going to do show Lightroom presets folder. So here we have some presets that we would have downloaded, and all you have to do is, with having two windows open, is I'm going to select all of these presets. As you notice, I'm grabbing the folders, which is very important. You can loosely grab the presets from within, but I like to organize all of my presets in their different folders. So we're going to drag this right over here, right into the folder. It's that simple. Now you're going to notice here is they're not showing up. Well, all you have to do is restart Lightroom, and all of those presets are going to load for you. We're going to open Lightroom back up. Going to all those images back down just to make sure we're looking at the right ones. We sort of have all of our presets right back here. You're seeing all the Visco, the South Sincata presets, which go rather extensively into exposure, contrast, things like that. I definitely don't want to give those away. But as far as the totally rad, the Visco software for the Canon camera, all of those loaded into Lightroom. That's simple. So if you guys have any questions, please hit us up on the website. Let me know if there's anything else you want to learn about presets or anything in sort of those categories in Lightroom, and definitely check it out and let me know. Thank you.